Hey, everyone, I want to welcome you to another episode of the Founders Live Conversations. We are excited today to talk about building your dream advisory board. We have a special guest from Advisory Cloud. We have Chris Beaver joining us. Chris, feel free to jump in here, say hi, introduce yourself, and we're just going to have a great conversation, everyone.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks so much, Nick. Great to see you again. So I'm Chris Beaver, co-founder of Advisory Cloud. Excited to speak with everybody here today. And again, get to just learn more and share more about Advisory Cloud. We've been lucky enough to partner with Nick and Founders Live to offer special access to Advisory Cloud to the Founders Live community for anybody who's interested in building an advisory board or working with advisors through Advisory Cloud. For those not familiar, with Advisory Cloud, and Nick, I know you kind of want to, go through a bit of a process here, but I'll just kind of hop in a little bit real quick. Um, Advisory Cloud helps connect businesses of all sizes with advisors and board members. So we have a network of over 10,000 advisors and executives on our platform who are interested in working with companies of all sizes to help advise them, whether it's through growth, you name it. They can assist in raising funding, make some great connections, help with expansion. Again, through our network of over 10,000 advisors that we have, pretty much you can find somebody to help you with anything that you and your business are dealing with. So that's kind of the super high level. And yeah, Nick, let me know where else you'd like me to go or how you'd like to take it from here.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Chris. And we're just gonna have a great conversation here around many different topics of building an advisory team, a board of advisors, what to look for when you're, as a founder and a founding team, really approaching this. And so again, everyone, I want to remind you, we have the chat room there, we have the chat box. Feel free to say hi, ask questions. We will be occasionally pulling those out, and hey, we might even invite you to join the conversation and be able to join us and in maybe giving a little more elaborate explanation of your question as well. So if you want to, we'll invite people up. But we are going to get started here, and Chris, I think the opening question I want to just bring forth here is, you're a founder as well. You have you're on the founding team of Advisory Cloud, and so maybe just introduce yourself a little bit in terms of your background as an entrepreneur, and then we'll go through the Advisory Cloud history and story. Maybe you want to wrap those together, but let's just kind of have a general introduction here, and then what we'll do is start identifying the kind of types of advisors and the problems they can solve and just some of those things. And we're just going to flow through this really great.
Wonderful. Awesome. Well, thank you again. A little bit about me. Obviously, co-founder here at Advisory Cloud. But really think of myself as an entrepreneur. Have had a couple businesses prior to Advisory Cloud, and actually worked previously with one of my other co-founders here, Jonathan Aspator, here at Advisory Cloud. He and I had a few businesses before Advisory Cloud, couple exits, and we were really lucky through those businesses to work with some outstanding advisors and mentors. I started my first company, I think I was 22, right out of school. I was no business major. I was actually a music major. Had my solid liberal arts education, but didn't have that business degree. And so I really relied on advisors and on mentors. And I was really surprised and pleased that when I started reaching out, whether it was through people on LinkedIn or through friends of friends and different business networks locally. At this point, I was in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is obviously a very vibrant community of entrepreneurs. And I was really almost surprised, almost shocked early on that I was able to reach out to some executives that I was like, there's no way they're going to respond to this email. But you send in a note and say, hey, I'm curious if you'd be interested in, being on my advisory board. I've got this startup, and people are responding left and right. I'd love to. How can I help? And I think a lot of it for folks was an excitement level of being able to kind of be back on the ground floor again, work, hand in hand with some co-founders early on. Um, and really start to help build businesses again. And I was also really surprised that so many executives I'd say, oh, I don't really have much to pay you here. And they'd say, hey, you know what, I'm looking forward to giving back. I want to stay involved. Maybe they'd been in the current role for 15 years and we're just looking to mix it up and have something fun on the side to work on. But yeah, was really impressed not only at the caliber of people I was able to find, but also what they were able and willing to work for and work with me on. And so over the years, again, we had a couple businesses, used advisors along the way. And when we were kind of looking at our next opportunity after we'd sold our last company to Pearson and the Financial Times, and we said, well, we've got these great advisors. And when we're talking with them, we kind of say, hey, you do this for a lot of people. And they're like, no, I don't really know where to look for opportunities like this. I'm really excited about giving back, but I don't know how to do that. And then on our side, we kind of recognized as founders and folks that had used advisors, that, we'd had some luck and we reached out through networking and things like that, but there wasn't really one spot to go to find advisors for our business. And so we started that kind of, iterative process as all founders do. And yes, we had a couple pivots here and there along the way that, finally got us to where we are today. And in terms of where the business is today, as I shared earlier, we've got over 10,000 advisors in the network. We've made over 10,000 placements, if you will, or connections within the last 12 months. So we're really excited just about the volume of opportunities and that back and forth that's happening in the Advisory Cloud platform. Thanks, Louis. I see your claps up there. Thank you. And so it's been really exciting. And the idea of being able to help other founders, help other entrepreneurs make these connections. One of the things that I always like to say is, you don't know what you don't know. We've all heard that one. But what I like to help people realize is it might feel like you're trying to solve a problem that nobody's ever solved before, but there are people that have solved these problems. It might have been in a different industry, different vertical, different product, but those problems have been solved before. And we can help you connect with other executives, other founders, other entrepreneurs that have solved the problems that you're trying to solve today, and have taken advantage of the opportunities you're trying to take advantage of. And so it's really exciting to be able to be part of that, making those connections. Really, again, on both sides for what we see from the companies, what they're getting out of the opportunities, but again, also on the advisor side, we've got some really amazing advisors that are so excited about giving back, getting involved. And so that's kind of the high level there. Digging in a little deeper around Advisory Cloud, not only do we have the advisors and that network, but we also have the platform. Through our platform, and I'll do a little demo a little bit later, but through the platform, you can connect with all your advisors. You can post questions to your private community of advisors, to your advisory board, post questions, get responses, get answers. Advisors can comment, they can they can upvote, other advisors' answers. So it's a really, it's kind of like, imagine you go to LinkedIn, but instead of scrolling and seeing all sorts of random posts, every post is a response to a question that you have about your business. Every person in that community is there to help you solve whatever problems you're dealing with this quarter, this month, you name it. And we also, in the last year, we've actually added the ability in platform for companies to host quarterly meetings. And they're actually moderated by our team here at Advisory Cloud. So we help get everything scheduled, help with agendas, putting everything together. And then our team's actually live with you on the call. So we have the CEOs, the founders from these businesses, we have their advisory board, similar to how we have it today here with everybody here in a Zoom, where you can speak directly with the founders, the CEO. You can answer questions and really, again, just have that one-on-one direct feedback outside of what we call the digital boardroom, which is kind of your space online in our platform. So that's, again, high level, getting down into some of the nitty gritty in terms of the product, all those pieces, a little bit about me. Nick, I know I see some questions, but I'll let you take it away and go from there.
That's great. This is great stuff, everyone. And we got Got a full room here. Definitely some interest and some questions around this. I think what we'll do is, Luis, you're back there too, and we can surface some questions here. But you know, maybe one of the questions and maybe a direction that we can go here that I had also written down is, maybe just talk about even what stages are appropriate
Mm.
as a startup. We're getting going. Maybe we've been going for a year or two. But talk to us about what you see as I don't know, air quotes here, but the right stage to start engaging
Yeah,
with advisors and especially advisory cloud in general.
absolutely. No, great question. So, first off, I don't think it's ever too early to start speaking with advisors. Personally, I'm currently advising a company where it's just the CEO and founder, and he, is working on the MVP of his product. And I'm one of a small group of advisors that are helping him at that very early stage. So again, in terms of how early is too early, I don't think there is such a thing when it comes to getting outside feedback and getting outside the echo chamber of your own mind sometimes, which I think all of us founders can do. So yeah, any time is right. It's never too early to start using advisors. In terms of advisory cloud, we work with companies of all sizes. In fact, if you go through one of our lead forms, I think we actually ask you, what stage is your business, and I believe the first option is solopreneur. And so yes, we have options in terms of our product and what we're able to provide. Just we have you can get started for free. I think the smallest kind of introductory package in terms of planning and level there on our site is as little as $300 a month, in terms of just getting access to the platform. So we have purposely priced it again, as as I know I've said a couple of times. I've been a multiple time founder. I know how you have to be pinching pennies early on. So we purposely wanted to create a package that we could get that price as low as possible, to keep that barrier to entry as low as possible. Again, for companies at all sizes. On the other side of the spectrum, we work with very large companies, hundreds, even thousands of employees. We also work with some executives at extremely large companies that are maybe the chief marketing officer is looking to build their own advisory board, just specifically to help advise them on all things marketing and pieces there. So again, we really work with companies of all sizes, and are really excited about that. So,
Got it. Elias, looks like Eli there, has a question, and this is definitely just an interesting kind of follow up to what you just described in terms of what maybe walk us through, like, what are these advisors actually expecting? You'd mentioned earlier, a lot of them do feel they want to give back, but is there some sort of compensation around this? What sort of agreements do, let's say, startup that looks to build their advisory board? What is involved in that discussion, in that agreement, if there is a compensation nature to that?
absolutely great question. So in terms of the minimum level of compensation there, that we look for, and that companies on the platform agree to, is compensation through affiliation. A lot of the advisors that we work with are looking to add advisory board work to their resume, or as I shared earlier, are really just looking to give back. So in terms of initial level, what advisors expect from our platform, from the companies they're working with, and what we ask of companies, that base level is just compensation through affiliation. I'm going to advise you. I get to put that I'm an advisor for your company on my resume, on my LinkedIn, etc. Obviously, we do have plenty of companies that are looking to bring advisors on in more formal capacities, or different arrangements. And so, of course, through our platform, there are a number of options to hire advisors, whether that's hourly, for hourly packages. Say, Nick, if you were an advisor, I might have a great board meeting with you one quarter with a big group of advisors. And then I say, you know what, Nick was outstanding. He had some super answers. I think he can really help me. I might come to you and say, hey, I see your hourly rate on Advisory Cloud is $300 an hour. Can I get 2 hours with you so we can really knock through these problems this quarter? So we can do that. Of course, equity is a big piece of it for startups that are in that spot that might not have the cash compensation. Advisors love equity. So that's always a possibility as well.
Okay, good. Good. Hopefully these are answering some of your all questions there. You know, Chris, what would you advise when early stage team is looking to start engaging with this? What are the steps? And I think next we can definitely pull up and do if you have things to share and walk through the platform, that's great. But maybe starting off, what are getting started and kind of going down the steps of even establishing, because we've all heard this, like, okay, we've got mentors in our life, then we have advisors. How do we go about determining which one is do I need mentors personally, advisors? I'd be more of a team kind of company thing. So maybe walk down that. But I'm even just talking about the next steps. If a team is looking to get started, what's the first couple of steps they take in evaluating this whole process?
Right. Absolutely. So I think, again, I saw a question in the chat that I think you're referring to there in terms of mentors versus advisors. I think what you said right there is how I think about it as well. Mentors being more on a personal professional level, if you will, versus advisors really advising more specifically on the business. That's how I think of it. I think that's how most people would kind of break that down and draw that line. Yeah, that's how we think about that. Next, in terms of kind of next steps and saying, hey, are we ready for an advisory board? I think the biggest piece for us, again, we don't, if you're a company, you come to us and say, oh, I'm just a solopreneur at this point. It's just me. I'm just getting going. But I'm really excited about using advisors. Super. Our platform's perfect for you. If you're at a stage, again, whether it's just you, whether you've got a couple employees, whether you're pre-revenue, whether you're pre-product, wherever you might be there, the biggest piece is just really saying, hey, am I gonna use this tool? Am I gonna use these advisors? Am I gonna use this advisory board? If you're open to feedback, if you know the questions that you need to ask in terms of putting it out there, and again, our team is fantastic for helping put those pieces together. We've worked with hundreds and hundreds of companies to help them through this process. So everything from saying, okay, what problems are you trying to solve? How are we going to go about that? And then actually putting together that group of advisors. Again, we've got a network of over 10,000 advisors. So we have plenty of people to pick and choose from. And so our team can help, and regardless of what plan or tier you're on with us at Advisory Cloud, you have a dedicated account manager. We're here for you all the time to help you pick advisors, schedule board meetings, moderate those board meetings, set yourself up for success. So our team's there. So really the biggest question is just, are you going to use them? Have you committed to using advisors to help grow your business and solve the challenges that are in front of you?
Right. And, following up with that, it kind of brings up the next one is, how would one decide on who to take on as these advisors, right? So, what are your suggestions around, looking at obviously specific industry expertise, but then as it's a lot of it's like, is it a good fit within the
Right.
team and,
Right.
within the entire situation? So, what are the best things to think about when one is looking, especially using Advisory Cloud, sorting through, finding these people? What's the steps here to think about on that?
Yeah, no, great question. And I think, one of the things that we've purposely set out to do with Advisory Cloud, and in terms of how we've thought about designing and laying out the platform, is you shouldn't limit yourself. 2 advisors are great, 12 is better, 20 is better than that. And in terms of the Advisory Cloud platform, how we've set that up with your dashboard, so you can easily post a question and see, a dozen answers under that, with people voting on which answer they think is best, commenting on which answers they like, or maybe which answers they disagree with and want to share a different point of view. We've really made it extremely easy to get advice from many advisors, and then take those steps to say, hey, as I shared earlier, you're going through all the comments in your Advisory Cloud digital boardroom, and you say, wow, Nick had some outstanding answers there. I want to do a little breakout with Nick and set up some time with him to speak more directly. Or maybe I just want to send Nick a direct message to continue to pick his brain through Advisory Cloud. You can do all that. So, yes, in terms of fit, you want to make sure everything works there, but at the same time, why not post your questions to groups, a larger group of advisors, and let that quote hive mind work with you to help find the best advisors, and then move forward with those folks as necessary.
Mm-hmm. So interesting. And as you paint the picture, why don't let's actually walk through some stuff. Feel free so you can share your screen. Feel free to walk through the platform to show us a little bit, because as you prepare this, Chris, pointing out the fact that you just mentioned, like, 2 is great, 12 is better, and it's like, oh, okay, what did he really mean by that? And how many, as you set up for, building your advisory board, let's just walk through this here and see how it all works.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. So obviously this is just advisorycloud.com. Just wanted to highlight this real quick. We run a two-sided marketplace. We have the companies that are seeking advisors, but we also need the advisors that are looking to advise companies. So for anybody watching today, really with either one of those that you're interested in, you can come to advisorycloud.com, click become an advisor. If you're interested in becoming an advisor, you can learn more about that process. Or of course you can build an advisory cloud, which is our digital advisory board product, and go through that. So I am logged in here. This is a demo account, so there'll be a couple of parts where I'm popping around in different spots, so bear with me. But again, just to give you all an idea of what this looks like as a CEO, as a founder, logging into my advisory cloud to get feedback. So here, for instance, the company Cubic Inc. is the name of the company on this account. They've posted a question in terms of what they're looking for, and how they could use some advice this quarter from their advisors. And then, as I was sharing earlier, just kind of like a LinkedIn or a Facebook, we've got comments right below that. So here we see Jessica Sharp, one of my advisors, has provided an answer here. I can go ahead and like that comment. Other users can like these answers. They can comment on the comments. So again, it really starts to create this vibrant community of advice, of advisors, all here with the sole goal of assisting me and giving me advice on a regular basis. The great thing about the platform as well is it's mobile. So I know a lot of us founders are, on our phones sometimes more often than we're at our computers, just because that's the name of the game these days. And if something pops into my head when I'm, waiting at the gate to hop on a plane, and I say, man, I would love to get my advisor's take on this real quick, I can just log right into the platform. Here, I'll just go click post, and I can go post, and I can create a post right here. I can do an update. Just maybe I'm just sharing what's going on with the business, any recent happenings, or I can post a question. And with this question, I can say, as we're gearing up for the end of the year, what are some renewal best practices for our SaaS product? And again, I'm being pretty generic here, just putting it out, showing what's happening. I can add an image. I can upload, whether I can include a PDF as well if it's a presentation or something I wanted to share. And I can also share a video. So maybe there's a new product update that I want to walk my advisory board through and get their feedback on it. Well, I can upload a video to do that. And boom, I click post. Will go ahead and be posted in my boardroom. And then immediately all of my advisors will get notified that my company, Cubic Inc., in this case, has posted a new question and that I should go ahead and log in and start providing feedback. So again, it's a really easy, great way for companies, again, of any size to come in here and start working with advisors. So that's kind of the high level. I kind of jumped right into the meat and potatoes of it, but I know folks are probably curious about taking a look at advisors and what that network looks like as well. So I'll just take a quick minute and walk through that. So if I click on advisors, it's going to start off with my advisors. So these are the advisors that are on my advisory board currently. I can see how many answers they've left in my boardroom, how many comments they've left, how long they've been on my advisory board. And of course, I can read more about them and their backgrounds. So a minute ago, we saw that Jessica had a great answer on one of my previous posts. And maybe I want to set up some time to chat more directly with her. So I can, of course, just send her a message here, or I can also book a video call straight from her profile here. So I can book a one-on-one video call, or maybe I've already spoken with Jessica a few times. Oh, sorry, my cell phone's ringing there. Maybe I've already spoken with her a few times and I'm ready to actually take this engagement to the next level. So maybe I want to bring her on as a more formal advisor outside of just my advisory board. Maybe I want to work with her on some project-based work. So defined budget, kind of set milestones for something there. Maybe it's a full-time role. Maybe we've just really hit it off and my company is growing. I'm ready to hire that VP of sales or VP of marketing or you name it. And I can actually bring them on directly. Maybe it's a fractional role, just a part-time CTO. I'm not quite all the way there yet. And then, of course, obviously, as a lot of companies, raise funds and go through that process, they need to establish a formal board of directors. We can assist with that as well. And of course, we see a lot of companies use their advisory boards to source for their board of directors as well. So those are the options. So again, a number of ways to use advisors through Advisory Cloud to really meet a large group of people and then start to narrow that down to who you want to have those more formal and more intense relationships with. Next up, we'll just take a quick look at the directory. Again, there are going to be 10,000 advisors here. So I can just, whether I want to just scroll through or I can, of course, search by keywords. I can filter on their skills. We've got, I think, over 100 different skills that you can choose here to search from. And you can also filter by industry. So maybe you're in a specific spot and you really need somebody that has, that aerospace and defense expertise or has that civil engineering expertise or cloud storage, you name it. So again, a lot of great ways to search the platform, meet advisors. You can then save folks. So if here, with Tarun, I haven't worked with him yet. So maybe I want to invite to join him to my advisory board. So here on actions, I can just click invite to join, and they can join my advisory board straight through that. Or maybe I want to get introduced to him through a message or a video call, etc. So again, a lot of great ways to get involved with advisors through the Advisory Cloud platform. And again, we've really done what we can. And as folks that have used advisors and been using our platform, we have our own customer advisory board that we run through Advisory Cloud. We have our own separate board of advisors that we run through Advisory Cloud. So I actually just had my quarterly meeting with my advisors last week. So we're in here using the platform and making updates based on how we're using it and how we're seeing other founders and CEOs use it. So yeah.
Oh, that's great. Really well done product. It's
Thank you.
Yeah, it's clean, it's beautiful. Hey, as we're in here, we got some more questions popping up. This is great.
Yeah. Sorry, I hid the chat so I could do this.
Yeah.
So I'm not seeing that.
No problem. Filtering based on function and industry, kind of hit that one, right? So maybe just let's dive a little deeper on, how granular are you getting? Like, look, Founders Live, this is a global ecosystem. There's people here from the continent of Africa. There's people here from South America, from North America here. So is there a geography aspect to this at all? Or how would you work around? How would you suggest teams look at even just geography, language, and kind of more of those specifics?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have advisors from around the world on the platform. We have companies from around the world. To be totally honest and upfront with everybody, we mainly focus on North America. just in terms of, where we're targeting to bring new folks in from. That does not mean the platform does not work around the world. It absolutely does. So again, that's just kind of that in terms of our advertising and everything. We've mainly targeted in, English speakers. So that is the majority of the platform, just in terms of focus there. Geography, when you bring that up, it's an interesting question, because I feel like that was really something that we got a lot more before COVID. Companies would come to us and they'd say, well, why am I searching everywhere? I'm in Chicago. I only want to work with people that are in Chicago so I can go see them when we have these meetings. And, we got that a lot, in 2019 and before. And since COVID, because we've really built this platform to be able to work with advisors anywhere in the world, regardless of where everybody is, and via remote meetings and video meetings and things like that in the platform. We really encourage people to not limit themselves by geography. So that's just one of the things there. So in terms of filters, I'll just click back to advisors here in the directory. We actually don't have any filters that are user selectable in the platform around geography and some of those other pieces. However, like I mentioned earlier, every company on Advisory Cloud gets to work directly with their dedicated account manager. And on the back end, we do have some of those additional filters. So if you do, in fact, have something where it's like, you know what, I really do, for whether it's legal or tax or whatever reasons, if you do need to work with somebody in a particular area, our team can assist you with that. No extra cost or fee or anything like that. But we don't like when people start really limiting themselves before we've had that conversation with them in terms of why you should be open to advisors from anywhere. So we do keep those filters just for our team on the back end.
Interesting. Good to know. Good to know, everyone. Another question's popping up here around, let's kind of getting back to the compensation topic. And they mentioned, outcome-based compensation triggers. This could be such as either maybe a metric that's met growth-wise, kind of scaling, growth, sales, revenue, even maybe an acquisition or change of control.
Right.
Is there a mechanism in the system to, build around that, or if not, or whatever, how would you suggest they think about that?
Yeah, no, great question. So again, we offer a few options here that I kind of showed earlier. Excuse me. In terms of what they're looking for there, I might suggest something along the project-based lines. That can be a good option for some of those outcome-based solutions and triggers. My head, and I've seen the question now in the chat. My head goes to something. I know a lot of people have used Upwork. Upwork has something where they upload the final files, and at that point things are passed out, or money is moved out of escrow and things like that. We don't have anything that granular in terms of what's available directly through the platform. We found that at the advisory and advisory board level, there's not really the need for that super granularity in that. If it's a conversation or a contract that needs to be had, one-on-one with the CEO and the advisor, our team's always here to help and assist, whether that be through negotiations or just getting everybody on the phone. We can help with that. But in terms of some of those other pieces there and those triggers, that's not something that we really provide that direct one-on-one with.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. And then another question around, this is interesting questions. These are really, really helpful. Let's maybe speak a little more on bringing these individuals on in, let's say these are the people you want to surround yourself with. You've invited them. Is there like an NDA, and or how should people think about these sort of things in, maybe the quote safety of their information and, just being secure in that feeling? How does that all get taken care of?
Yeah, of course. Great question. So we can, of course, assist with NDAs if that's necessary. If there is some information there, there is kind of just through our terms of service, There is some baseline privacy clauses involved there. But of course, for any company that feels they're sharing extra sensitive information, if they feel specific one-on-one NDAs with each of their advisors are necessary, we're more than happy to assist in getting that done. In terms of your Advisory Cloud boardroom, these are all secure. This platform has been completely rebuilt in the last 2 years from the ground up. AWS, React, JS, you name it. Really high level security and everything. So in terms of sharing anything directly in the Advisory Cloud platform, everything is super secure there.
Good, good. Very important to know. And, just be as, secure in this process as possible.
Yeah.
So, let's see, going through some of these at the bottom here. Do I understand correctly? Advisors who join a company's digital advisory board won't necessarily get compensated, only through affiliation. But the follow-up question, how frequently can a company startup have an advisory board meeting? So there's two questions there. The first one is really just the reiterating, the compensation aspect, and maybe feel free to kind of riff on that again. But then, how frequently is it suggested that these board are they quarterly, as you mentioned previously? What sort of frequency do you expect on this?
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, in terms of compensation there, I'll just be clear. In terms of all that we require for companies to compensate their advisors with when they come in, the absolute baseline is that affiliation. However, when you're in the platform as an advisor, currently we're logged in as a company, but when you're logged in as an advisor and you're reviewing companies that are seeking advisors, you can see right on their profiles what their compensation looks like. So again, it may just be affiliation. There may be equity involved. There may be cash compensation. For a lot of the companies that we work with, it might be affiliation only for the larger group, but they may be looking for board members that get equity and have cash comp depending on meeting structures and things like that. So you'll be able to see that if you're on the advisor side reviewing companies. You can see the compensation stats and what every company in the platform is offering their advisors that join their advisory board. So hopefully that clears that up. And in terms of the follow up, in terms of advisory board meetings, the standard is quarterly. In terms of what we see and what we encourage companies to do that are using our platform, we offer quarterly in terms of what our team is there to help facilitate. So whether that's scheduling agendas or setting agendas, scheduling with your advisors, and again being there on the call to help moderate. We offer that quarterly. That's on all plans for any company that's working with us. But we know there are situations where companies want to meet maybe with a smaller group, a subcommittee, if you will, on a more regular basis. And so we do offer the ability for those companies to hold more regular meetings. They're just not necessarily, you don't necessarily get all that extra help and support that we offer for the quarterly meetings. But if you want to set up a smaller group of 3-4 people to meet with once a month through the Advisory Cloud platform, you can create those meetings yourself in the platform, go through that process without our help as well. So hopefully that helps.
Nice. And then we also have some thoughts and questions around, the interesting dynamic. You probably understand this too, around founders and entrepreneurs, is we just get stuff done, and we are very confident in just kind of forcing ahead and making stuff happen. And a lot of times we have trouble asking for help or challenge asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you maybe advise or suggest, when a lot of founders simply are just like, why would I need an advisory, cloud of advisors? And no, I just
Right.
just get stuff done, and I have a hard time asking for help. What are your suggestions around that?
Great question. Great question. You've got to be ready. I don't know how much I can say to help convince somebody there. I can, of course, say well, go look at our site and take a look at some of the case studies and, read how advisors have helped, some of the other businesses that we've worked with. I think sometimes that's the best way to be like, wow, they were in a similar spot that I was, and look, they get this great advice and help them push through to the next level. So again, in terms of, if you have, hey, some startups, I'm sure people are cruising, they don't have any questions, they don't need any help. Super good on you. I think that's probably 1%
Right.
of startups and startup founders out there. For the other 99%, we've got questions. Here I am, co-founder of this business. We've been lucky enough to be bootstrapped. We've been quite successful. We've been around for over 10 years. I still have quarterly advisory board meetings with my advisors. I'm having monthly meetings with smaller groups to pick their brains on particular topics. I don't know everything. I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. That's kind of what it comes down to. And if you're in a spot, regardless of where your company is, but if you're in a spot personally where you can say, hey, I need some help, or I could use the advice of somebody who, again, as I shared earlier, has been here, has solved this problem that I'm trying to solve, has captured this opportunity I'm trying to capture, then advisors are going to be able to help you out a lot. If
Yeah.
again, you got to be open to it, you got to be ready to ask the questions. You got to be ready to take some harsh feedback, not necessarily harsh feedback, but take constructive criticism and feedback when it's warranted. We had, as I shared earlier, I had an advisory board meeting with my group of advisors last week, and I shared a couple of demos of potential, next add-ons for the platform, some features that we're looking to add, and I shared three. And this is all, just wireframes and things like that. So I wanted to put it in front of our advisors, many or most of whom are customers of ours, and say, which one of these are you excited about? Which one would you use? Which one do you think adds the most value to our platform? And I had the one that I thought was going to win, that I've been the champion of internally, at work here. And I was so sure it was going to win, and it just totally fell flat. And one of the other features that our product team came up with and has been, they've been championing, was its total winner. Everybody, people were jumping up and down and clapping and giving kudos in the meeting and say, "Oh my God, you got to launch this as soon as possible." And I had to take it and say, "Wow, I thought I was gonna, my product idea was gonna win that one, but it wasn't." But nonetheless, we got feedback from our target, our ICP, our target customers here. They have spoken. I'm going to listen to that feedback, and I'm excited to prioritize that part, that new product feature and add on, and push that forward with our team. So, yeah, you got to be open, you got to be ready to listen, and there's a lot that advisors can do for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for that story and just the background there. It's really cool. Kristen is jumping in here. How many advisors are on the platform? So we've heard 10,000 in terms of the options there and the scale that we're talking
Mhm.
about. But maybe this is even this question of how often do companies run into the challenge of advisors going radio silent? And
Mm.
maybe a follow up to that is what are the strategies or thoughts that you all suggest and usher in when there might be like a, hey, I'm not, something doesn't seem to be fully right in
Right.
this experience. Walk through that.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, there are over 10,000 advisors on the platform. You name the company, there's a good chance you've got somebody there, especially a lot of the larger companies. So really pleased with the network that we've built, being able to connect all those great advisors with, again, companies of all sizes. Um, how often do companies run into the challenge of an advisor going radio silent? Things happen. Things come up. Work for advisors, and they say, "Hey, I got to go back and focus full time on my main gig." So to be honest, I don't have any stats around that. That is a really interesting question, Christian. Kristen, I appreciate that. I don't have any stats on it. Again, if you're a company working with us and an advisor goes radio silent, again, reach out to your account manager. Everybody's got a dedicated account manager. They can work with our customer service team to try, calling that person, getting in touch with them outside of the Advisory Cloud platform to see, what's happening, what's going on there. But I don't have any stats on that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We have another question here around nonprofits. So Denny asks, is there room for nonprofits on the platform? And they go on with, we are currently a nonprofit which helps startups. So I'm a little unclear of exactly what Denny is really mentioning here, but what is, so you have, this is Advisory Cloud. There's individuals that are advisors, ranging all over the place. Um,
Yep.
is that where it stops, or do you actually have like maybe more of a marketplace that nonprofits and other organizations that serve startups and early stage companies, is that where it stops,
Yeah.
or do you actually have that sort
No,
of thing?
yeah, yeah, great question. So we actually do have several, or more than several. We have a number of nonprofits on Advisory Cloud. Nonprofits, they might not, have the same financial goals that of other businesses, but they have their organizations. They have problems to solve, opportunities to take advantage of that advisors can assist with. So we do actually have, and I mentioned earlier that kind of entry level price was around $300 a month. We actually have a lower price specifically for nonprofits as well. So we do have a special plan or tier option just for nonprofits that's available on the website. Don't quote me on this. I believe it's $200 a month versus the $300 a month for startups. So again, a discounted price specifically for nonprofits. We're really passionate about a lot of the causes for the nonprofits that we work with. Some of the nonprofits, the boards that I'm on, I've brought into the Advisory Cloud platform so that they can, get more advice and get more assistance. So absolutely, whether you're a for-profit or a nonprofit, we have options, and we're more than happy to help here at Advisory Cloud.
Going back to a question from Kristen mentioning, are if I was looking for advisors, am I able to see the portfolio, like other like advisors portfolio of who they are actually advising, or does that stay a little more kind of behind the scenes, just respecting kind of some privacy aspects?
They can choose. So the advisors can choose whether or not they want to make that public in terms of what's on there. If somebody had, I would actually see some of the options on their profiles in terms of the other companies that they're currently advising through Advisory Cloud. They can choose to have those automatically or not added to their profiles. And then similarly, a lot of folks will, put that in their, bio, and they can list their experience here, so you can see what they've listed here. So yes, so there are options to see that portfolio, to see what else they're working on and what they're interested in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, some want to keep it close to the chest. Some want to,
Mm-hmm.
they enjoy having that be more public. But it's just good just to show some of that data and background. All right. Yeah, is this Luis mentions, is this entirely online, or is there one-to-one calls or in-person part of it? How have you, built around that? The beauty here is, here's what I like. I'll answer before you get to it, but I really like how you've essentially created, it is a cloud of advisors that you're disassociating the requirement to, oh, we got to set a meeting and everyone got to be in the room and then we're talking about ideas. This is very virtual platform-esque, online or mobile.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great, but how much are you encouraging more of the one-to-one and or like in-person meetings?
Great question. To be totally honest, it is completely up to each company, at what level they want to do that. Again, we're here to help provide this great platform that allows you to connect with all these advisors. You can post questions and updates as regularly as you do. Some companies are in here, and we'll see that if the CEO posts something about their company on LinkedIn, they'll immediately come right over and post the same thing in their Advisory Cloud boardroom because they want their advisors and their advisory board to be just as up to date as everybody else on what's going on with the company. In terms of those, again, the moderated meetings, I know I've said this over and over, but quarterly, that's where we go there. In terms of those one-to-one phone calls, again, really up to the company. We have the options right here in the platform. So if like the example I gave earlier, Jessica had a super answer over in the Advisory Cloud boardroom. I want to book a one-on-one video call with her. Easy, 2 clicks and I'm there. Next steps here, you go through some scheduling options and stuff like that. In terms of in person, that's not something that we directly work to facilitate through the platform. But again, if you want to, hop over to messages and send Susan a message here and say, hey, I know you're in Chicago. I'm going to be there next week. You want to grab a cup of coffee? Absolutely, super, go for it. But again, not something that in terms of that in person that we directly work to facilitate.
So interesting. Well, we're coming to the end, everyone. We're getting close to the end of the hour, which this has been jam packed. Just a lot of great questions, a lot of great stuff and answers from you, Chris. I want to shift a bit in the sense of again, you're not only like representing Advisory Cloud, but you've built companies before, and you founding team of this one, and so you've learned. So let's maybe step back, and would love to hear you share maybe let's just go with like two kind of big pieces of advice that you would want to share with earlier stage founders that are in the process of growing their company. What have you learned? You were just sharpening it down to two things, but of course there's so many others. But what two things kind of pop out that you would like to share about this journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying not to cheat here, but I'm gonna say there's one big thing to learn, and that's get feedback. And that feedback can come from a number of spots. That can come, if you're growing a company and you're CEO or co-founder, it can be surprising how quickly you get away from the quote unquote front lines of the customer. And so really make sure that you're staying in touch with your team, with your customers, and you're getting feedback from your customers. And then the other one is get outside feedback. Again, you don't have to come use Advisory Cloud. I think I'm a little jaded here. I think we've built a pretty awesome platform. So of course I'll say that, but talk to your wife. Say, what do you think about this new product feature? You know what I do. What are you thinking? Talk to your buddies at the bar on Friday night. Or come to Advisory Cloud and get access to 10,000 amazing executives from around the world. But however you do it, get feedback. The great products are not built in a vacuum. So that would be my feedback there. Get feedback. That's my number one, and get it from customers and get it from people outside as well.
Yeah, and I'll even add to that. It's all the time, like feedback all the time, and like sharing your idea. We hear this a lot, even with like Founders Live, with pitch events.
Right.
Oh, I don't I want to talk about my idea, or like people are gonna steal it. Okay, everyone, look, they're really not. Okay, like there's a lot of things that are involved. You all know that execution is a lot more important than just an idea. So
I was going to say, I saw something just the other day. It was I think it was on LinkedIn, and it was one of those that said, more ideas have failed through lack of execution versus being stolen. So yes, get that feedback, get out there, don't be afraid of that. And if it's a great idea, awesome, but it comes down to the execution. So
yeah.
again, not to keep hitting this point over and over, but it's a great spot where advisors can help you in terms of that execution, figuring out what those next steps are.
Yeah. Well, everyone, we're gonna close it up here. I'm sure you all have other things to get to for the top of the hour, but Chris, this has been great, and we've dropped the links and information into the chat. If you're listening to this later or watching this, advisorycloud.com. You can check them out there. But Chris, anything else that you would suggest people go to that any other directions you would point them to kind of learn more information? Or I don't know if there's things online, LinkedIn, or a podcast that you want to post to or whatever, but let us know.
You're spot on it there. I appreciate that. Again, all the info for us is at advisorycloud.com. We've got case studies, reviews, you name it. You can really get an idea of what it is and how we've helped other companies. We also have a public directory of all the advisors in our network. So from advisorycloud.com, you can go browse advisors and see everybody that's in the network. And again, if you're interested in starting an advisory board or digital advisory board with Advisory Cloud, you can get started for free. I think Nick or Luis put the link in the chat here. But again, advisorycloud.com, you can get started, 30-day free trial. Check it out, see what's going on. No commitment. Again, dedicated account managers, you name it. You mentioned a podcast. I'm not quite at the point of really advertising or talking about our podcast too much, but because you brought it up, we have actually just recently launched the Advisory Cloud podcast. I think we've got 3 episodes up, one more coming later this week, where we're starting to do some interviews with some of our advisors, learn more about them, what they're interested in advising, the types of companies they're excited about, even companies they're already working with through Advisory Cloud. So some really neat conversations there with some, again, amazing entrepreneurs, founders, CEOs that we're excited to share some more conversations with. So you can check that out, wherever podcasts are, as they say. The Advisory Cloud podcast is available now.
All right. Well, everyone, look at that. We are closing up. This has been an incredible session. Founders Live Conversations there with Advisory Cloud with Chris Beaver. So thank you all so much. That's it for today. Keep looking, keep listening, keep watching. We have a bunch of different talks coming down the line here over the next few months. So with that, everyone, just have a good rest of your day. Thank you all.
Hey, thank you both. Thanks, Chris. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Chris.